So, about a month ago the game got wiped and it has been a lot of fun. Especially wipe, it's just the best thing ever. But it took about 2 weeks for meta chats to appear on the map again with the same gear they used a day before the wipe. May I introduce you to P90 Pete, M4 Fred and the MK Jeff. Now of course, how frequently you run into those boys is dependent on the map you play and where you go. In my stream we play customs a lot and it took 2 weeks for, again, meta chats to appear on the map more frequently. And that in itself is nothing special. It has happened every wipe before as well. Of course you also have those that, well, really push it and do the level 40 push in a couple of days. But that's quite extreme. And that was disappointing for a lot of people because they expected it to last longer with the current flea market changes. Meaning you can't trade meta gear anymore, ammunition, armor, even certain guns. It has all been removed from the flea market. So why is it then that not much has changed? It's quite simple. As I've pointed out in my last video, since the trades didn't get changed, instead of buying the armor on the flea market, you just buy the items you need for the barter trade and then you trade the armor. In the end, you still have the same armor. And of course, a lot of people argued, yeah, but it's limited per restock, and that in itself is true. But per restock you can get 1 tech, 2 Gen 4s, 2 or even more rounds, 1 slick, and then you'll just log in every couple of hours and there you go. And do you really think that when people manage to stay online, watch streams and let bots or add-ins collect drops for a period of over 2 weeks non-stop, that they can't log in every couple of hours, especially now with everybody being at home? You're sure about that? But okay, let's look at weapons. You want to play MP7, FMJ, at the trader, there you go. P90, SS190, at the trader. M4, no problem, best ammo in the game for now, 400 rubles. And MK, no problem, BP also at the trader. And we are ignoring the crafts right now, okay? You can get a couple of 100 bullets more via the workbench. So let's say you log in 3 times. That's the amount of rounds you get. And that's more than enough for the evening. That's without any rounds you find in raid, any rounds you take from dead players and so on. It's just buying. And that's basically the reason why nothing has changed. And I'm not arguing for removing that. I'm playing it myself. I'm just showing you why nothing has changed. People just rush through the game, unlock the trader levels, and there you go, same gear. It has been that way every wipe now. But let's now instead focus on the why. Why are people rushing through the game that fast every wipe? And the main reason is pretty obvious. For a lot of people, they rush through the game so they can get access to better gear, because with that gear they have a better fighting chance, especially against pretty much everybody with a social life. It simply gives you a feeling of superiority. I mean, just look at how many people share their stats on social media. And again, I'm not saying that this is a bad or a good thing, it's just the way it is. And it doesn't end there. A lot of streamers, and I'm not giving them shit for that, are challenging themselves on, well, who is the faster one, who can level faster, who can stomp more Timmies or whatever. And again, I'm not saying that's good or bad, it's just the way it is. And that of course leads to a lot of people wanting to do the same. Rush through the game, have the same gear that this guy wrecks everybody with. Of course that's a motivation. And all of that rush with being the fastest one, having better gear as quickly as possible so you can have a fighting advantage and so on. It just all leads to a very sweaty and competitive environment. And as soon as something gets sweaty and competitive, one of the main problems that we're currently facing appears. And that's cheating. And I'm not defending cheaters, like no f them, but you have to understand why it happens. Why are people buying rubles? Why are people buying carrying services through labs and whatnot? They also want that fighting advantage. And the most common excuse I've heard over the years is basically, if I had the time to grind as much as those guys, I would also have the gear and whatnot that those guys have, so I'm just gonna cheat or buy it. That's the most common excuse I've heard over many years. Those guys basically just wanna keep up without putting in the hours. And again, I'm not defending cheaters, I absolutely hate them, but That's one of the main causes. Furthermore, this competitive environment is the main reason for the mass exodus that we see every wipe. A lot of people return for the new wipe, then get frustrated because they can't keep up and people are sweating their asses off, killing everybody that just wants to do the bronze watch with a meta M4. Those people are fed up and quit the game again. Maybe return for the next wipe. Again, I'm not saying good or bad, it's just the way it is. Another problem is it puts a lot of pressure on the devs. Simply because, well, if it's so competitive and it's so dependent on how fast you can progress through the game, imagine servers are down, or you can't play because of a queue. It puts you behind by many days, and for a lot of people, that's enough to absolutely go batshit crazy on social media, insulting the devs, or just spreading toxicity because they feel like they are losing the race because of that. So it's just as exhausting for the devs themselves. So, and after analyzing all of those issues, I started thinking of how could we solve that? And it's just an idea. I'm not saying we should do it, it's just an idea. Maybe you like it. But before that, I want to address the most common talking points I hear a lot. First one being, Tarkov is supposed to be hardcore, so fuck all those That's basically what they're saying. And I gotta be honest, for me, Tarkov is nowhere near hardcore. You can make guaranteed money with a ton of methods. Even if you die, you make progress, be it the skills or whatever you have in your pouch. The game has an automated recoil control. How is that challenging? Even casual shooters are more challenging in controlling the recoil of a gun than Tarkov. Yeah, you have to learn a lot of mechanics to get into the game, but hardcore? For me, no. There are some really hard games out there that will absolutely crush you if you think that is hardcore. Another argument is basically, why should we care when, I don't know, 70% of the player base leaves? It's not meant for everybody. It's basically what they say all the time. And there's a difference between a game not being meant for everybody, which is absolutely fair. I mean, we don't have to change Tarkov in a way that is similar to Minecraft. I think nobody's arguing about that. It should be a challenging game. But you should also care a bit about your community, because having a big community is usually a very positive thing. The bigger the community, the bigger the game. The more trends it generates. The more money the devs have. The more content gets created. The more events you have. Having a big community is usually just a positive thing. So I don't think it's a good idea to just look at the biggest reason for people leaving and be like, who cares? I'm not saying we should just instantly be worried and change everything so that they stay, but we should take a look at it. And the last point, I just don't get it. Why are so many people always upset when you want to restrict the availability of meta stuff? And those guys are usually claiming that they're the best at the game. And I just don't see why the best would not be able to perform well without their meta stuff. Because there are a lot of people that perform absolutely amazing and shred whole servers with budget stuff. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about the idea. And I think Landmark proposed something similar, kinda. And it's basically that you have milestones in a wipe. So when the game gets wiped at the beginning, traders are locked at a specific level. For example, level 2 for X amount of time. So you can grind them to level 2, but you can't go further. Or level 3, and what amount of time, a month, 2 weeks, it doesn't matter at this point, it's just the idea. Everything specific would be balancing issues. So let's say for this example, it's trader level 2 for the first month. So we are all at maximum trader level 2. After that time, we get a story event where, I don't know, a cargo ship brings in the goods for the traders. Or we could have a global event where we as a community have to work together to hand in, for example, 10,000 VPOs to unlock the next level. Either way, that event unlocks trader level 3. And now that's the maximum for the next X amount of time. Now, that's just the idea, and it would have some very interesting effects, I believe. First off, early wipe would finally be early wipe. The only big guns you would see at people that killed bosses and guards. And now we would have to argue about what to do with laps. Maybe the access is restricted at the beginning, I don't know. Again, that's balancing, but in general, it would really be early wipe for quite an amount of time. And that, I think, would be fantastic, and it would solve the main reason why people just quit the wipe straight away. It would also be less competitive in a way that leads to a rush. It would still be competitive, I mean it's Tarkov, but that rush wouldn't be there anymore. That would lead to less cheaters, less real money traders, because you have the time to catch up now. And people that grind more hours in the game will still have an advantage. You can still collect a lot of things in raid, but well, in raid. And for the people that, well, I don't know, grind those restricted levels in a couple of days, there's so much more you can do in Tarkov. I mean, it's not like you have, I don't know, X amount of guns, X amount of maps, wipe. So I don't see how you can argue that you have nothing to do after you have unlocked the traders. And even if those unlocks could serve as kind of mini wipes, not in a sense that you get wiped or anything, but it would bring people back because, well, let's say you grind and then you're bored and then you get the event like, okay, next trader, here we go again. Now with completely different guns, it feels like a different game. I think that could bring back a lot of people with each unlock. And in my opinion, that will lead to a more steady curve throughout the wipe in terms of player counts. Because currently it's just a month, maybe two, and the game is back to, let's just say, a lot less players. And last wipe was brutal. Throughout the week, certain maps were empty, like dead. Reserve was a ghost town, except for D2 maybe. And I just think that Tarkov deserves more. And I truly believe that with this method, Tarkov could be populated over a very long time and we could have fun until the next wipe hits. And I mean, think about the seasonal server that they're planning, where it never gets wiped. Those servers are just gonna die. And you know it's true. The same people that rush the meta gear now will rush the meta gear there, just stomp everybody else, and it's gonna be a ghost town again. But without a wipe, people will not come back. Now that would be a pity in one of the greatest games I've ever been a part of. So that's my analysis and my suggestion, I guess, or idea. Tell me in the comment section what you think. As always, thumbs up if you think that analysis was any good. Subscribe for more and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye!